Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome to another Solution Sunday, where the soul is the solution. I am Lisa Warner. I am the author of The Simplicity of Self-Healing. And today we are here with Navanad Valle. You may know, if you've been following Solution Sunday for a little while, you've seen Nava's mom, Shannon, on here talking about all kinds of beautiful Native American things and food and nutrition. And today Navanad is coming on to talk to us about restoring human nature. Navanad, good day, good morning. It's super early there where you are in Hawaii. Thank
Hey,
you
good
so
morning.
much.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I am in Hawaii, so it is 4 a.m. right now. But it is so good to be here. Um, I'm Comanche, Yaqui, and Pueblo, Native American, both on both parents' side. And yeah, today's just really about reconnecting, re-indigenizing, and finding intention in like what we do. So that those are kind of the big key points that have gotten me to the point that I am at, and the things that I've lived with and have grown up with, and the teachings of my parents as well. And something that I hold so dear to myself, especially the re-indigenizing part and reconnecting with nature. So that's huge.
It is. So what does re-indigenizing mean to you?
Well, I think we come from a place where like we've seen what we may see as destructive, like as such as colonialization and colonizing different areas and being native. We have seen the changes from our ancestor to us and all the trauma that we have been through. And I think that a lot of us have been stripped of our ways, but also have lost our way along that time period. And so re-indigenizing for me is finding that connection back to nature, finding the healing in, for example, in Hawaii, just like the water and the connection to the water and like what that means for us to be a part of that and to have those experiences and what those healings we receive from those things. So re-indigenizing, we can't decolonize really. I mean, we've heard that word a lot of like we got to decolonize to get back to where we are, and I just don't think that is a possible thing nor necessary, but possibly re-indigenizing in our system that we have now. So one person at a time.
Exactly. I kind of look at this as, um, you know, rehumanizing
Yeah,
ourselves. We live in a society that dehumanizes us.
sure.
We've all been treated, we're called the herd and treated like cattle and,
Yeah,
and given the social security number. So then we become a number,
yeah, yeah.
and we're all
A lot of
treated
labeling.
the same. We're not treated as individual humans. So we have lost so much of our humanity.
Yeah. And then I think that's a big thing that I've always struggled with too, and I'm sure a lot of you have, and is kind of battling the labels and like trying to fit what label you fit into to just realize that there isn't one for you. So Hawaii was like one of those things for me that was really on a whim. Like I was scared. I was I was fearful of making the move, but I knew that this place had given me that connection not only to Mother Earth, but also the people. And the people that it collectively had brought, and I'm on Maui specifically, and um, the group of people that it brought here is very like-minded, also kind of seeking like this unconventional reattachment back to nature. And so we're very heavily like focused on like when people come here and visit, they're like, what do you guys do? Surf? What else? hang out in a hammock under a tree. It's like they're like, that's it. And I'm like, that's all we want to do. Like if we aren't like doing work, we are hanging on the beaches or we're hanging out together in communities and family and friends. Like the amount of friends I've made here probably surpass the amount of friends I've had in my entire life. And that has happened in a matter of just months. And they're genuine good people. So yeah, like you said, is about reconnecting and finding like what that means. And like that's could be anywhere for all of us, and we all find that in different places. But I think it's following like that intuition that we have. I had given up my whole entire personal training business that I had ran for 7 years. I built up for 7 years. And for me, that was like a fearful thing because there's like the system, like you said, that we have created that surrounds our mind around money and stability and like what we think stability means and comfortability. Like I know that I was good at that. So why would I ever give that up, But with everything, there's a flow, right? There's a flow in the water, there's a flow in the wind. And we forget that we are also those things. So I had to step away from the ego part of me and the attachment to like my business and what I was doing to take a leap of faith into something that like has probably been the best thing I've ever done for myself. Yeah.
That's beautiful. So what brought you to Hawaii?
It was just so there was a couple of vacations. I've never been here. I come from a big family, so I'm one of five. And we haven't actually ever had to experience like those kind of vacations. And that is not a complaint at all. The way I grew up, the way we uh, camped and vacationed, it was so homey and fun that's what I knew, and it was always nature based. But Hawaii, because of my current fiance, um, she had talked me into coming here, and I came here, and it was in the summertime of 2021, and I fell in love with it. And I had rebooked us another trip after that to come back during whale season. And I think when I got here with the whales, it was already special, but that moment of like realization of like what's really actually important, you know? And like to me, it was like how life just works in harmony and to be a part of like that harmony for just what it is. I think like where I was at in the Bay Area and the city was like we're trying to structure something so heavily that isn't natural. We're trying to force like this system that isn't harmony, and I like tell the jokes of like, the whales they come up from Alaska to Hawaii every single year and to have their babies. And they do that every single year because they know that is their purpose. And that's without question. They're not trying to be a dolphin or they're not trying to come onto land and walk. They know their purpose and they're in love with that purpose. And it's just being who they are. I think that like as humans, we kind of have like forgotten what it means to be like us, in some ways. So, obviously technology like brings us together like this, but I think we also force it a lot. That's not necessarily always our nature. And
Mhm.
yeah, just reconnecting, regrounding to what has already been provided for us naturally. So
Exactly.
that's what brought me to Hawaii in a long answer.
I love that. The whales, there's so much wisdom and magic in the whales. What do you think their messages are?
It's special. so special. We have like spinner dolphins here right now, and I mean, I got to swim with them the other day. And it's like, I don't know, it's like a surreal situation.
Wow.
But we have magic in everywhere we live. There definitely is. And I mean, um, there's that magic for all of us, no matter where we're at. Like we don't have to come to this destination. This destination just called me. And a lot of people don't even like to live here as well. So there's a combo, right? Like there's people that want to leave the island. You hear about island fever and stuff like that. And like that's a real thing for certain people. So um it could sound like I'm saying like, oh, Hawaii is just a special place. And it's really not. I think it's finding our, you know, what makes us happy in the area that we're at. And like, what is it that connects us? Is it redwood trees? Is it gardening? Like just a simple action of like creating a garden for ourselves. Like my mom and my dad, they that thing brings them together, you know, and makes them feel connected. So that's what they do in the city. They create their own front yard garden and like spend time out there, and that gives them the grounding that they enough grounding, that they need.
Beautiful.
Mm.
And we look at this beautiful planet, like you're saying, there's no place that's more special than other places. All of it is special. All of it is sacred.
Yeah,
All of it is divine. All of it is magical. But
right.
if we can't see the magic unless we actually look for it,
Yeah,
we're so trained to look at the TV, look at the news, look at what's going on, look at what is.
right.
What is really pretty unpleasant when we start to look out there in the world at the poverty and the war and the working 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, paying your taxes. It's really, a whole lot of unpleasantness that we
Yeah,
get forced in, quote unquote, into looking at, and that becomes the all pervasive, predominant reality.
yeah,
But that's not the way it needs to be at all. When we look at this amazing planet, she provides everything we need, all of the food, all of the things for shelter, all of the materials, the water, the oil, all the natural resources we could possibly ever need. She provides them for free.
yeah,
But when we're looking at what's the price of oil this week, what are they going to do? We don't see it. We overlook
yeah.
all the magic and beauty and everything that is sacred in nature.
When we create the reality that we want, right? Because the political stuff and all that is not real to me. Like I don't believe in it enough for it to be this real thing, right? The water touching my feet, or my feet in the sand, or me laying um on the beach, or being here with friends, like that's real to me. So I think like controlling your environment has an impact, you know? And so trying to write your own reality, and I know it's kind of hard to like detach from what's always streaming everywhere, and like us always kind of focused on being in the midst of it all, but to do those little actions for ourselves, just to kind of find sanity first, and then um pleasure and happiness, and like your ancestors will guide you through the rest. Like it's kind of we don't have to try hard to re-indigenize, like I'm saying. I think immersing yourself into, like you're saying, what's already naturally there is going to start to give us the pattern and realization, and also having intention. Like start to see the patterns in nature, and like ask your questions about that. Like if you're in sequoia forest, or redwood forest, or on the beach, like we read the waves out here, And like we kind of tried to understand like why is it doing what it's doing, And we have like swells and like the ocean comes in and it's wiped out an entire beach. But from the other side, during the other season, it pushes all the sand back and builds it back up. And so like you start to understand like these patterns of like life, but also like the things within yourself that also does this like the same things. Is like so we could say it's destructive, but they also rebuilt it. So is it actually destructive or is it just part of the process? We come across these things in our life and internally that we could maybe say are bad or destructive, but there's no such thing. It's just a part of a bigger process um, that we're supposed to discover and that we're supposed to do. So destruction is kind of a part of what we are, and I think looking at it in more of a positive light of like, hey, like this is a part of our growth or our beauty, right? We love when nature looks a certain way, but it takes a little like destruction get to the beauty that it needs to be at or the perfection that we see in it. Um, so yeah,
Exactly. There's just these natural ebbs and flows and cycles of life. And nature always is in the flow. Nature, there's an intelligence there.
yeah,
You're saying, if you build something, if you build something up, it gets taken down at some point. If when something gets destroyed, it gets rebuilt.
yeah,
This is like the cycle of life. It's completely normal and natural.
yeah,
And, it's the same thing in our physical bodies. When our physical bodies build up extra cells or need to take away cells, we go, oh no, now I'm really sick. Well, no, your body is actually in the process of restructuring itself.
yeah. It's always trying to find homeostasis for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
a believer in that too, and I think we haven't had enough time to like look inward or haven't to see the intentions of what's going on that we all of a sudden like maybe something pops up in our body that makes us feel sick and we automatically panic. Like,
exactly.
oh,
Or
I need a rush here, like something's wrong with me, this and that. And it's like that's a sign for us. Like that's just us receiving a lesson
exactly.
and to kind of like sit with it, that we're hey, we have a teacher right here with us. And like
Precisely.
maybe it's a cold or maybe it's a tumor or maybe it's whatever, but it's a sign of us to like pay attention, you know? And that's
Precisely.
simply it. It doesn't necessarily have to be scary. And I think that we could find the best options for ourselves when we start to look inward and we could make the best choices, with the minimal amount of fear. I mean, it's already there, right? And so giving it fear and creating fear around it is just like a double-edged sword. Um,
Precisely.
so it's almost like, okay, this is where I'm at. What am I supposed to learn from this point? So I agree, big time.
Yeah, when I found myself facing cancer, quote unquote, I could see that my body was out of balance because I was out of balance. And I finally realized there's nothing wrong with my body. My body's doing exactly what it needs to do given the conditions that I've provided for it.
Right.
So it was responding to the environment, my emotional and energetic environment. So when I was vibrating at the level of I'm not good enough, I'm not okay, there's not enough, I don't know what to do, those are pretty low vibrational
Sure.
frequencies,
Sure.
and they're distorted compared to who we truly are as these divine souled beings. So distortion breeds distortion. So the distortions in our mind create the distortions in our lives. And we
Yeah.
start to see that there's nothing wrong with our life, there's nothing wrong with our bodies. It's simply the feedback. Go and take a minute, go within, look and see where you're out of balance. What thoughts are we thinking? And what energies are we embodying? You know, if we're constantly in fear or anxiety or worry or overwhelm, well, we're not going to get a pleasant reality from those energies. It's never going to happen. It's
Yeah.
like it's our invitation to go within and reconnect to the truth, to the flow, to the ease, to the love, to the support that's all around us all day, every day when we simply look.
Yeah, I think we've created such a place in our minds, and like sometimes it's the culture too that it's hard for us to ask for help, or to like be okay with that. And it's such a natural part of who we are. There's not We have not gotten to this point in like our civilization without help. I mean, can you imagine if we tried to build up to what we're at with just one person? It would fall. So I think, yeah, being okay with receiving that and not seeing it as like something you have to pay back, because that is not something that we should ever have to do if someone's genuinely offering that help. And like with my family and just like ancestrally too, like we did everything in groups, we did everything in tribes, we did everything in the community. And that's also when it feels its best, and you could find like that success together as a family, or you could find that success as a tribe. um Truly gives us a greater purpose.
Oop. Exactly. Tribe is so important. Community is so important. We're not supposed to be here all alone on this planet, and we're
Yeah.
not supposed to do things all alone. You know,
Yeah.
when we just look at the nature of children, when you put toddlers together, they just figure it out. They just learn to play together.
Yeah.
And, that's our true nature, is playing and exploring and discovering and, finding out what it's like to be in a human body.
Yeah. Right. That's truly it's for the experience. I mean, this time is short lived, and it's a in my eyes, it's a blessing to be me, like to be in this like human experience is very lucky, no matter what's going on in this situation, because we have so much power within us, so much capability to like make a difference. And that difference too is like, I think we also look to do things on a grand scale, and it's just like simply making the change in where you're at and with the people, like having these conversations and like doing that in your community. Like a lot of people are having a hard time, like, it could sound easy for me to go down to the beach and like re-energize and recollect and like have that option of nature right there. But how is that going to help somebody that lives in a city? How does somebody else find that reconnection in an area where they may not have a beach right at the bottom of their condo? So for me, on like how I did that was, when I lived in the city, it was through people, and it was through workshops where I would force myself to go sign up for things that made me go learn about farming, or made me like go camp and sleep under the stars. Like those little things that have to force us to take action to like dive back into nature is absolutely necessary. Unfortunately, it's not always readily at our hands,
Mhm.
but it's there. We have that access, and we have the community. There's tons of community stuff throughout the world that we could be doing, and it could be simple. Doesn't have to be complex. We don't have to try to make mass changes, because just a micro change in where you're at is going to, eventually lead to a bigger change.
Exactly. When we change ourselves, the only one we have any power to change is ourselves. And when we start changing ourselves and we start living in a space of balance and ease and joy, then we're that light on the candlestick for others to see. And it gives other people the permission to do that for themselves as well.
Right. Yeah. I think it's seeing, and I was partial too to like this move that was like I was very fearful of doing. But what I did is when I came to visit, I asked strangers, no matter who they were, and I didn't even know them, how did you make this happen? Like, how did you get here? And most of them were like, I just did it. Like, it didn't matter what was on the other end. It was like, I needed to find a way to get here, plain. And then I got here. I lived in my car, or I lived on the beach for a little bit, or maybe I found a condo. The stories are across the board are crazy, but it drew them. And no matter what it took to get here, they were going to do it. And so it's just putting that foot forward really and saying, hey, like, this is my purpose. This is like a part of like the journey that I'm supposed to have. And regardless of how scary it is, to just do it. Because
Exactly.
I mean, there's no reason to not.
Right? It's like when we're feeling that draw to do something, that's our soul guiding us. It's the
Yeah,
higher self saying, "Hey, let's go in this direction." And it's so often that we go, oh gosh, I can't do that. The fear comes up and we go, oh, because we're in the mind. It's like,
right.
well, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how that's going to work out. I don't know if I'll be safe. I don't know if I can succeed. And then we let that stop us. But it's that call in the heart that is connecting us to our true nature, which
Yeah,
is saying, go in this direction. It's going to be amazing. And when
yeah,
we just let go and we start to trust, then we're in that flow, we're in the alignment, and the pathway, just every step unveils itself as we take the step, not 10 steps beforehand, but as we need that
yeah.
step.
As you go, I'm learning that very much here. Is the least amount of worry I've had in a very long time, being once I took that step, and how everything kind of fell into its place. Like, kind of crazily. I didn't have a plan when I came here. So, and it fell into its place the day I got here.
Wow.
I mean, the moment I got here and made the official move, um, my Lyft driver, I told him I moved here, and I work on the boat, so I'm on the water all day. And he's like, "What are you doing for work?" I was like, "I'm not sure. I'm gonna take a month off to surf and do stuff with just the land and just kind of settle in. Like, I've been working a lot." He's like, "Well, I'm a Lyft driver now, but I was a captain for 12 years. If you want a job, I can get you one. And I can point you in all the right directions and all the good companies out here that would treat you really well." And I said, "Oh, I've never worked on boats before. I don't know anything about boats. But I'll take your number. Maybe I'll take you up on it." Took his number, took a month off, like I said I was going to, contacted him, pointed me in a direction of the company I work for now. And I walked into their office, and me and the owner literally had the best interaction that like I could have ever like hoped for. And on that moment is when he's like, I want to give you an opportunity to work with us and learn like what we do. And I was working within days. And it was just it was a faith thing. It was just like trusting, like, hey, when I make this move, like, creator has me.
Exactly.
He's already has all the opportunities that I'm going to need right in front of me once I get here. And that was without a doubt that I knew once I got on that airplane to come here and I took that leap, everything kind of fell off my shoulders. Any worry, anything that I was trying to plan out, anything that like I thought I needed to be doing literally dropped off my shoulders. And the minute I got into Maui was when I felt home. I knew that it was gonna work. I just knew it. And yeah, there wasn't a single worry the moment I got here. It's kind of weird the mentality that I had before I got here. Completely different people, completely internally and mentally. And now it's almost the spiritual part that's happening here.
Mhm.
And that goes back to my roots. And I think about all the lessons and all the spirituality upbringings that I have in the ceremonies and how much us and the Hawaiians intertwine and just humans in general. I think all of us are seeking that. And there tends to be places, and I think Maui is one of those places that seeks spiritual connection. And that goes back to all of our roots. And I am fortunate enough to have an upbringing and a culture that is so heavily focused on just being a part of Mother Earth, to be able to be step on the ground, to be able to have a sky above us, you know. And we with all the different languages that have been lost, we have come together like through our different tribes, and we kind of speak like a lot of like Lakota, which is another tribe. And in our ceremonies, we always say to all our relations, and that's always how we end our prayer. When in our language we say like home say, and to us that is like to you, to the sky, to the earth, to all of us, to the animals that gave us food on our plate, or the plants that gave us food, or whatever it may be. It's all related to us. We are all kind of one. And so to kind of live that way and to remember to live that way, the patterns of this world all fall into place. It's always going to be in harmony. You don't
Exactly.
need to try to change anything.
Yeah. We've all been kind of taught, kind of focused into this psychology that, the earth is just this big dead rock floating through space, and that, all of the resources are just there for our taking, and, the animals are just things that are there for our food, and all of the sacredness, all of the divinity has been taken out. So then we don't realize that we are connected to all of these things, and all of these things are alive. They're all living beings, from every blade of grass to every sea turtle to every cow to every giant redwood. Like, all of us are living beings. And when we're not conscious of the divinity of all life, then we become separated, and we become separated from our true nature. And we
Mm,
start just taking things for granted, and using each other and the resources, rather than respecting And then when we're not living from dignity and honor and respect, giving those things to others and treating ourselves with that, we
Yeah.
get really in our heads. And then we're living in this fear and the doubt and the worry and the separation because we're not living according to our true nature.
Right. Yeah. Having that like intention, like being intentional and like your purpose every day, Um, and I think when you kind of live intentionally and with awareness, like you automatically connect. It you don't even need to practice anything really besides those two things to like experience connection.
Exactly. And we can start to experience that connection even with trees, to go outside and we can have full on connections with the
Yeah.
trees, with the rocks, with the whales, with the dolphins, having communication.
Yeah.
But unless we get quiet and we go within and we start to look for that connection, we miss it.
Yeah. I agree. I think that is yeah, I mean, how many of that stuff do we walk past every single day, how many times do you look up at the sky, you know? Like those things all kind of reground you into like, whoa, looking at the stars and the moon and like just seeing how small we are in this like giant place is just kind of like it's humbling to be like, wow, like I actually get to live here and like be a
Right?
part of this like this special thing, like our life moves so fast that we forget like how special it is just to be alive, to take a breath. We forget about our breath. We forget that that's what keeps us here. Um, so like just reconnecting with that. Like if you really want to start reconnecting, start with there. Start with your breath. What's that feel like when it enters your body? When you're actually conscious and aware of that feeling. And I think that those kind of little things inwards like really start to heal us and make us conscious of more important things.
Exactly. The air around us is not empty.
Yeah.
It's filled with living life force energy. And when we breathe consciously, we can breathe in that living life force energy and start filling our bodies with that. When
Right.
we're living in our minds, in the fears and the doubts and the worries and the trying to figure it all out, we're not breathing, we're not conscious, and that's not moving living life force energy through our cells. People don't realize that, being living in the mind and living in the body are two different things.
Yeah.
It needs to come back together, and using our breath to breathe in living life force energy and fill our bodies with that, letting our cells know that, hey, I'm home. Here
Yeah.
I am. You
Yeah.
know, let's live.
Yeah. And I think it's also, we've always had in every culture practices that have done that: meditation, prayer, um, like in our culture, sweat lodge. Like those are all things that had been there like for a very long time. So it's completely normal again to have that detachment. And I think that like we shouldn't focus on like the negative detachment of that, but like again, it's the destruction and then the rebuilding, destruction, rebuilding, like that's just part of kind of what we are. That makes us like pretty magical that we have that power to do that and recreate something even better once we like build those tools. And I think finding the right tools like what you provide, um, for everyone, but also like where we come culturally is like important for us to kind of reconnect to. So those tools are what helps us create and kind of again, like we've been talking about, live in harmony.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you easily pull yourself back.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like we're the only ones that can heal ourselves.
Yeah.
We're so trained to look to other people, that there are experts out there who know far more than we do. That
Yeah.
when we tune in, we're connected directly to source itself, to creator itself. And when we source our information and our knowledge from that, we're always guided in the right direction. But when
Yeah.
we're looking out to the government or to to the authority figures to fix it for us, not gonna happen.
Yeah. Yeah. One and two is like we look for outside sources, but only I've lived in this body and done what I have done for this amount of time. Nobody is gonna know the thoughts, the events that I've been through, the things that I have witnessed that has got me to this point. And so to be asking an outsourced source, like, how do you fix this? And I've been doing this to myself for 30 years. I can't expect them to have that answer because I've got myself to this point. So I obviously could get myself out.
Fact.
Just have to unravel kind of again intention, awareness, like starting there, and start to it's like a Jenga, you're trying to like find the points in your life that were loose and like to kind of rebuild that.
Exactly. I look at it as, when we're fully connected to our true nature, we're fully connected to source, to our divinity, because that is our true nature. And,
Yeah.
and every time we have a trauma or, that starts to disconnect us, it kind of stops that energy flow. And then, now we've got fear or we've got doubt or we've got guilt, or those things stop the flow of energy. And then something is going to manifest in our life to reflect that distortion, that place where we have stopped the flow.
Yeah.
And so the thing that shows up in our reality, whether it's a disease or a financial situation or a relationship situation, it's there to show us, hey, here's exactly where you've stopped the flow. Here's where you're thinking thoughts that aren't true for you. So it's always about going back within and reconnecting ourselves to our divinity, to the natural flow of things.
Yeah. And I think too, like for me, I have always looked at like what's the worst that could happen. And I think the worst for a lot of us is like dying. And when you actually look at that and how natural it is and how a part of who it we are, that part of our journey is going to be the most spectacular thing, just like when we were born, just like when we had this journey on this earth. It's supposed to be the most spectacular thing. It's always supposed to be.
Yep.
And so when you could kind of like take that negative part of passing and that fear away from passing,
Mhm.
you really don't have, there's nothing that can make you afraid.
Exactly.
If you're telling me the worst that's going to happen is that I'm just going to vanish into more energy somewhere else and be elsewhere and reconnect ancestrally and with other energy after this, um, I'm not worried. Like I mean, it makes me want to live this life more to the fullest
Mhm.
and realize like, hey, like it's actually just like kind of a privilege to be a human right now. Not supposed to be stressful.
Exactly.
We're not supposed to self-destruct so much. We're not supposed to like just be living life and like not connected. Like it's just we're supposed to have these connections in this lifetime because who knows what we will be later, you know?
Exactly. I mean, when we
We're-
look at this beautiful earth, I mean, it's spectacular. Look at how much beauty is on this planet. We're not here to work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday for 60 years. And,
yeah,
like, we're not here to work. We're
yes,
here
Bruce.
to play, to enjoy, to create, to nurture, to love.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Make them believe it, Lisa.
Shannon asks, do you think the whales remind who of us of who we are in some way?
Absolutely. I think they give us like this insight into like everything is supposed to be like where it's at. And I think it reminds us of like actually our processes that we go through as humans and like how natural it is to have our babies and to raise our babies and to create family and to create flow in like what we're doing. Like they come all the way from Alaska, 3,000 miles to Hawaii. And like that's a part of an enjoyable experience for them to be able to give to their children a life that they have had. And that's all they're focused on. They're focused on being with each other to giving life so they can have this experience. And we kind of forget like why we have kids. And I think a lot of us want to say, hey, like I want to give you a life better than the one I had. But who, like that's already saying that you didn't have a great life. And I know that there's a lot of things that happen for everybody, and I'm not to take away like traumatic experiences and things like that, but you have a life and we make it the best that we can. And I think it's a spectacular life, regardless of the experiences you've been through, because you were supposed to have that journey. I mean, if we all had the same journey, what would we be learning? How can I have compassion? How can I like have emotions towards anything if we're all living the same way? And that's what we try to do so much here. We try to live the exact same life that we think we're supposed to be doing, from right or wrong. And there's no such thing. It's just an experience. And it's an honor to like be able to be sad, to be able to cry, to be able to be upset, to be able to experience excitement. Those emotions are supposed to be there. We're supposed to have those things. And that's why we have different experiences through our whole entire life, because it's our makeup like that. We need to have that to learn and understand more.
Exactly. We are multidimensional beings. We are here to live on many different levels and have
Yeah.
many different experiences. We live in a universe of infinite possibilities. All possibilities exist for us to be able to experience, and we can start choosing the quality of experiences that we have when we start to live in peace and ease and harmony within. We
Yeah.
start experiencing those things on the outside as well. Our consciousness, our energy is generating our reality. So when we start to realize, hey, when I sit back, when I relax, when I do the things that I love to do, I become happy. And wow, when I become happy, I actually am flowing, living life force energy, and I'm
Yeah.
creating, and I'm feeling good. And geez, when I'm feeling good, I'm feeling good. I'm not sick. There's nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
We start to realize that just by allowing ourselves to feel good, we start creating a much better feeling life for ourselves.
That's that's a great way of putting it. I mean, it's truly our reality and creator kind of gives us whatever we heavily focus on the most. And they
Exactly.
just keep it's just that energy, that source just keeps giving and giving and giving.
Precisely.
So yeah, switch and like
And we're just told to focus on the news, focus on what is, focus. Why?
yeah,
Like, it's really quite unpleasant to focus on those things.
right.
And by focusing on them, we're just generating more and more and more of the same things.
Yeah,
When we stop, when I stopped focusing on the news, when I got rid of my TV, it's like, wow, my life got so much better, like right away. There was a huge uptick in my inner peace, my ease. And people, well, you have to pay attention. You have to know what's going on in the world. Like, I'm actually creating my world. Thank you very much. I don't need to know what
yeah,
other people are generating for themselves. I'm
yeah,
here to generate for myself. And I started to realize, wait a second, I can literally create any quality of life that I desire. I can do anything with my life. And when I start to focus on the divinity within and the beauty of the world, I realized, like, I actually don't have to participate in that dystopian society. Like, I
yeah,
can actually live in this place of beauty and community, and I'm surrounded by all kinds of incredible people having fabulous conversations. Like, this is the type of conversation that I have all day, every day, because this is what I love. Like,
yeah,
it doesn't please me to talk about, what is in the external
right.
world. And this is generating so much beauty, so much joy in the world, helping people to remember to connect into their soul, because the soul is the solution,
Yeah,
returning to
absolutely.
our true nature.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah,
I love it. Shannon says, when I was under the ocean waters, it connected me to my core, to myself. The boundaries for me in the ocean was simply respect and humility. It was such an honor to feel invited into the water. Shannon's your mom. She's there visiting you right now. So I know you're taking her out snorkeling.
their first time in Hawaii, or both my parents. Yeah, I think that was a gift that I wanted to give them, was uh to be invited into a space that is almost crazy, because like you're on top of the water, and the minute you submerge yourself into it, you're like, there's a whole nother world there
Exactly.
of these other beings that help all of us, help the earth and are part of the earth to like create harmony. And so like to be able to give them the gift to see sea turtles, to see little reef sharks, and manta rays and spotted eagle rays, like all those things is just, again, like it's just always a reminder of like what's more important than this. When I see the sunset here in Hawaii every single day outside my balcony, is like, what's more important than this? And my answer is always nothing, because this is my moment, this is my space. This is my purpose. And it sounds kind of weird, but my purpose is to connect. That's it. Like every single time, like it's my desire to connect to people, to things, to everything. It's just to connect. And if I could create an occupation that had a title, it would be connection. Like you're applying for a job to connection. That should For me, that is my only real purpose. Everything else is kind of fluff. Like it's
Right.
just filler, and like, but turning the things in my life into connection, right? Like I still have to work a job to create a source of income. And it's a job that I focus on creating connection in. I see people from all over the world that come. And so it is my desire to connect with each and every one of them every single day because it's fun, it's exciting, it has purpose, it makes all of us happy.
Exactly. So that's you connecting to your soul purpose,
Yeah,
connecting to your divinity, to your portion of all that is, and allowing the all that is to flow through you, creating that divine connection, that divine flow. And the money just flows with that. It's just a byproduct. It's not the main focus. You're not doing that just for the money. The money is just like the byproduct of all of that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, like to give my parents like that gift. I don't know if they would have ever been able to come here if it wasn't for me being here. To be
Mm,
honest, like so to be here and have them have that same experience I get to witness in the water was like truly special.
yeah. I love that. And, if we use the water as an analogy, when we're floating on the surface, we can be either focused in the water or we can look up. And
Yeah,
depending on which direction we're looking, we see something completely, totally different worlds. And when we start to realize, I actually have the choice of where I place my connection, my direction, my focus. And when I focus in the direction of inward into my own divinity, into my connection to all that is, I get a completely different reality than when I focus on the TV and the news and what we're
yeah,
supposed to do and the rules. And we start to see that we have far more power over our own lives and over this world, because we can start literally collectively creating heaven on earth by utilizing our focus and just refocusing on our own direct connection. And we could change this planet in a heartbeat if we
easy.
just got everybody focused in their direction of their divinity.
Yeah, I think it's funny because like I love to have these conversations too, and I have had these conversations with quite a few strangers that just I've met for the first time on the boats, and like because there's like the desire from people in general to have that,
Yeah.
to have this, they truly want it. And now I'm the person that they ask, like, how did you make this happen? How'd you get here? And I was like, 6 months ago, I couldn't tell you. I was like, I just took a jump. And they're like, that's crazy that you could do that. And like, you have like the best things. And it's like, well, it's a reality that I created, you know? And it's cool to be like on that other side of things now. And it's no longer a wonder anymore.
Yeah,
It's my reality.
exactly.
Yeah.
You've been able to create this because you've been able to listen to inside. You've been able to connect to your own divinity, to your soul song, and follow that inner guidance, that little energy that just opens up on the inside and goes, wow, hey, this would be really cool. Let's go do that thing. And when we feel that energy open on the inside, it's like, yeah, that's the channel for us to connect. That's the hallway. But when
Yeah.
we're living in the mind, like all the doors close and we're like, oh my gosh, I got to figure it out. I don't know what to do. And we
Nothing
lose
to
that
figure out.
connection. So kudos to you for being able to really tune in and follow that energy. And when we do that, it always leads us in the right direction.
Yeah, and I mean that's everything that you have brought to us with Soul Solution, like it's like follow your soul. Your soul is screaming for certain things. It desires certain things. And like just know that no matter what, like you could get to those things, you know. It's not impossible. It definitely could be anybody's reality, regardless of what that desire our souls wants. So it's amazing that you have given us like this platform as well.
Uh, it's, it's definitely been a pleasure. I just started to realize, especially when all of this stuff was coming down a couple of years ago, and it was like, wait a minute, we're not supposed to be isolated. We're not supposed to be distancing. We're not like, let's focus in the direction of creating heaven on earth, because this is what's actually possible. So
Right.
the Solution Sunday was kind of my contribution
I
to
love it.
how do we get ourselves focused in the direction of our souls, of our divinity, of creating heaven on earth, because it's actually so simple.
Yeah, it is.
Wow, Nava, we have Keith saying, Nava, drop in the wisdom. Life is truly a lesson to learn. And what else is, he says, create life from the inside out. Yes. Denise says, heaven on earth is possible every day. Create it. And Connie, good morning. Love this. And beautiful. So, Brenny, wonderful conversation. Thank you both.
Thanks everybody for listening. Thanks
Yeah,
for
Nava,
having
this has been
us.
such a beautiful conversation. I'm so blessed
Absolutely.
to have you join us. Thank you so much for getting up so early in the morning.
Oh, of course. I feel great. I was excited to be on here, and again, like thanks for letting me like be me and like accepting that and creating like this safe place. So that's what it's all about. You create a safe place and you find truth, and you're able to allow people to be who they need to be. And again, this is going to extend to the outside world, and that's the platform you've created is like, I go out there and I can continue to be myself because I feel safe to be myself. And so it's just another extension. But yeah, you're helping a lot of people. It's amazing.
Well, it's certainly
So,
an honor. I'm glad that whatever I share is helpful to others. So,
or
Nava, if people come to Maui and they want to come and do an excursion with you, how do they do that? How do they
yeah,
find
come check
you?
out Sea Maui. Sea
See?
Maui, yeah, SEA Maui, MAUI. Uh, we're a catamaran company that does snorkeling, sunset tours. We do surf lessons, paddleboard, like all the water stuff. So we could take you out, give you a good time.
Oh, that sounds
Kind
amazing.
of with me.
Where are you guys located on the island?
Right on the west side, so off Kanapali
Oh, yeah.
Beach. Um, through Whalers, you could get there. We have all our kiosks and stuff there, and you'll see us.
Beautiful.
Uh,
Uh, I've been to Kaanapali. It's beautiful.
oh yeah, this whole place is special. I got to take my parents up to Kula, which is up country, and the island is special because every piece of it gives you something different.
Mm.
So there's like a difference in all the spots. It changes. So I can see why the people here found paradise.
Yeah, there's so much diversity. It's so amazing.
Yeah,
From the
it's
top
just
of the
it.
crater to the bottom of the ocean. It's amazing.
Yeah, and you don't have a choice. It submerges you in nature. That's the thing. You
Exactly.
no matter where you go, you're in nature. You
Yep,
don't have a choice. So
exactly.
that's what makes it so special. It's just constant reminder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Really helps us to reconnect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, Nava, thank you so much for joining
Thank
me
you,
today.
Lisa.
It's been such an honor.
Yeah, home I say to all my relations. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Until next week, create for yourselves a great week. Bye for now.
Bye.